All right. We are back. This is the HR Perspective Talk Show, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 8 p.m. until tonight. We do have a special guest in the house, Usie Richards. There he is right there. Welcome to our studio.
Good evening.
Thanks for coming out tonight and spending a little bit of time with us. We're going to talk about FIBA Americas.
Yes, and I want to firstly thank both of you, Mr. Christian and Mr. Carter, for the invitation. As you mentioned earlier, I never heard about your program until I got the invitation, and this is a great opportunity for me and to share with other people throughout the Virgin Islands and the World Wide Web what we've been involved in for FIBA Americas and our plans for the next coming years with our activities.
So, see, now you're the president of FIBA Basketball. Could you tell the world what is FIBA Basketball anyhow?
Well, I thank you, Soup, for the question. I can't say Soup, I hope.
Yes, that's the name.
And David, give me some quick little name in between there. I remember now it's David Christian. So.
Yeah, well, they call me Kimba.
You really scared me there. But
No.
I could deal with Kimba and Soup from there. Let me begin by saying that FIBA represents the International Basketball Federation and governs basketball through 214 national federations throughout the world. We are divided in five zones. We have Africa, the Americas, Asia, Oceania, and Europe. And these five zones manage the goals and objectives and the plans for the World Federations, which is headquartered in the House of Basketball in Mies, Switzerland, which is just a few miles outside of Geneva. And in the case of the Americas, we have 43 countries that are included from the top of Canada and the USA and North America. We have Central America and the Caribbean, right down to the tip of South America, which I believe is covered by Argentina. So we, through our headquarters in San Juan, Puerto Rico, I am currently responsible for presiding over 43 national federations and representing the Americas on the World Governing Board in FIBA in our headquarters in Mies, Switzerland.
Okay. So, as you're president of this organization, I mean, were you a ball player? Do you still play ball? I mean, was there any connection there to get you into this?
Well, initially I had the fortunate opportunity to participate in the sport of basketball, particularly here on the island of St. Croix, when we had community leaders that were real committed to the program. Not only did we have the opportunities through our sports and recreation government department, but there was an organization known as the Sports Foundation, headed by individuals that you may have known when you went to Central High School, Mr. Rupert Ross Jr.,
Yes.
Noah Blakey. We had Wendell Hamilton and Tyrone Seals that were involved in supporting that group, and they ran a youth basketball competition for young men, young boys, throughout the entire island of St. Croix, from as far west to as far east that you could imagine. And they did that for a number of years. And because of that particular program, a number of individuals that had moved on up to what would have been referred to the Superior League of basketball, the Men's Open League on the island of St. Croix. And sometime back in 1979, 1980, our leaders of the league got particularly disappointed with some of the behavior of not only the players but some fans, and they resigned in the middle of the summer basketball program. And for myself, as a person that had already completed college, was already back home, for me there was not much more to gain outside of the recreational value of basketball. So a number of us who had already finished college, I believe in 1977 and 78, we resigned our position as players and took over finishing the league.
Okay.
And we ran the St. Croix Basketball Players Association for a number of years. I started off in 78 as a public relations officer for the St. Croix Basketball Players Association, and in that year also became the vice president for the Virgin Islands Basketball Federation.
So, Usie, you've been around this thing for a long time.
For a very long time, and some folks was wondering when I was going to move on from the federation. I've served as the president of the Basketball Federation since 1980, and because of my new position, I had to resign my presidency over the local federation, and that position I left back in August of 2014.
Okay.
Okay.
So you call that approximately 34 years.
Wow.
Okay. Wow. Wow. So what is the I mean, in general, what's the current state of basketball here in the Virgin Islands? I mean, I know because don't they, are you somehow related to maybe that's something separate, the game that they have at Central High Gym? I guess the Man League, that's something totally different.
No, in my past responsibility as president of the Virgin Islands Basketball Federation, which is a territorial body, we have members who are association. The league that you're referring to is run by Cecil Daddy Bird Joseph,
Okay.
who is also a member of the federation, and he's the president of that association that runs that particular league.
Okay.
We've had the Twin City Basketball Association. We had the St. Croix Basketball Officials Organization. I believe the name of Cecil Joseph Group is the New Breed Basketball Association. And then you had Choices Basketball Association that is run by one of our former national team players and team captain, Kevin Teagan Shepherd. And over in the district of St. Thomas, St. John, unfortunately, we only had, over the past few years, one active association, the Amateur Basketball Association, that is presided over by Mr. Dean Adams. And so these associations, they conduct the local activities,
Okay.
and the national federations are responsible for developing national teams at various age groups in both genders, both male and females, that go out and represent the territory in regional and international competition.
Okay. And so you were mentioning too that I guess the offices in Puerto Rico.
For FIBA Americas, our headquarters is in San Juan, Puerto Rico. We a couple years ago acquired a building that we've now refurbished, and then last year we've acquired an adjacent building to it. So we've now fully staffed. We originally had some 13 or 15 full-time employees. We're now moving up to 24 or 25 employees. And these individuals are supervised by someone that used to carry the title of Secretary General of the Americas, but based on some recent changes to the governance of the international body, all these individuals are now fully incorporated into our world headquarters, and the office is supervised on a day-to-day basis by an executive director that acts on behalf of our Secretary General, Mr. Patrick Bowman, who is headquarters in Switzerland.
Okay.
And so that each one of our 5 zones, we now have 5 executive directors that report directly to our Secretary General, and the FIBA zone presidents in Asia, Africa, Americas, Oceania, and Europe. We are responsible for overseeing the mandates of the world body in each of our zones.
Okay. So what can I expect to see if I went there to Puerto Rico to this
To our headquarters office?
Yeah, well, I mean, usually, what's there in a sense?
Well, just before we went on air, we were speaking about one of the major functions that is done within the zone is we have an eligibility office, and folks hear the term eligibility and you'll be wondering what does that mean, and you hear the term the Virgin Islands national team. You may hear the Bahamas national team, Barbados, Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, and Cuba. In order to play for a national team, a player must be a national of that national federation or that particular country.
Yeah.
And so we have an eligibility department that looks over the submittal of documents, which includes passports, birth certificates, documentation that show that that person is a national of the particular country. In the world of international sports, the Virgin Islands is recognized as a separate country, which is the only arena that the Virgin Islands, Puerto Rico, the British Virgin Islands is viewed as a separate country. And so we have an eligibility office. Mm-hmm. We have recently embarked on bringing back a particular manner in which the game of basketball was played back in the late 80s and early 90s. I don't know if you guys are not that young that you couldn't remember, but we used to have a sports store known as Kinney's.
Yes.
Of course.
Yeah, Kinney's used to sell sneakers
Because-
and all
Yes.
this stuff.
Pro
Well,
Kids.
Pro Kids. Well, Kinney's, which was headquarters in Puerto Rico, used to sponsor an activity known as Thread by Thread, which is 3-on-3
3.
basketball. And Kinney's sponsored that throughout the various locations in the Caribbean region that they had a Kinney store. Now FIBA has reintroduced 3-on-3 basketball
Okay.
as one of the most fastest growing activity under the FIBA umbrella. We did that back at the first Youth Olympics that was held in Singapore, where the Virgin Islands was fortunate to be one of the countries that had a four-man team. 4 young players, 18 years and under, participated in the first 3-on-3 activities. And so today now it is at the open level, is at the gender level of both male and females. Just 2 years ago, we had a 17 and under boys and girls 3-on-3 team represent the Virgin Islands at the 3-on-3 festival that was held in Washington, D.C. I can't remember directly off the top of my head the name of the U.S.-based organization that coordinated that. It is now fully supported and sponsored by Nike. We had the World Championship of 3-on-3 basketball was held on Miami Beach. It is played outdoor. They set up a court outdoor. They played in various avenues. In Singapore, when we first introduced it, it was played in the middle of a mall.
Okay.
And they set up seats, and there's music playing throughout the entire game. There's 3 players on the court. There's no coach. They have 1 additional player that substitutes. You have 2 referees, and individuals are enjoying it. When we had the first World Championship for 3-on-3 on Miami Beach, the winning 4-man team came from Puerto Rico, and they walked away with a $10,000 check to be split among the 4 players that
Right,
participated. And so that is one of the things that is supervised out of our headquarters. We have a regional staff that deals with 3-on-3 basketball. We have individuals that manage the championships for the region. I had the fortunate opportunity to serve from 2004 to 2014 in July, another position as president of the Caribbean Basketball Confederation,
Okay.
which included some 24 sports federation, and it was reduced to 23 when the Netherlands and Antilles were removed as a national international Olympic committee, and so that they couldn't no longer have a sports federation in this particular instance on basketball. And because of that particular experience, we have Caribbean championships where we have under the CBC, countries have to qualify for a Central Basket Championship that is for both all age level, whether it's a senior man, senior woman. You have the categories that is referred to as cadets, which will be 15 and under. You have mini basketball. You have a junior category of 18 and under athletes. And in the Caribbean, they qualify to move up to the Central Basket, which is the top 8 teams from Central America and the Caribbean. And then from that competition, you have 4 teams that qualify to move up to the Americas Championship, which is the top 10 countries from North America, Central America and the Caribbean, and South America. And from the Americas Championship, you had to qualify to an Olympics or to a World Championships in all of the various age categories in both genders for both male and female.
Whoa.
And so we managed that at the Americas
that whole process.
office in Puerto Rico, the qualifying tournament, right up to qualifying teams to go to World Championships and or to the Olympics.
So Usie, you guys stay busy year round. Basically, you ain't no break in your field right now, is it?
No. This is a year-round activity. The administration of the sport is something that require individuals to have to be able to manage it. We just recently finished approximately a 2-week break for our staff and our headquarters in San Juan, Puerto Rico. Outside of the conduct of these events, there's also the conduct. We have what is known as the America's Basketball Academy. Our Basketball Academy is responsible for the conduct of coaches clinics throughout the Americas, in North America, Central America, and the Caribbean, and South America. Individuals believe that the Virgin Islands Basketball Federation could go over to the studio and ask Kimber and Soup to come out here and be the coaches of our junior men or junior women national team in any of our country, in this case, the Virgin Islands. But in order to coach, you have to have a coach's license.
Yes.
Okay.
And so we manage the administration of our coaches' clinics and the issuance of our license, which is done through our world headquarters, but based on the recommendations of the 5 zones. And then we also have what is known as our technical individuals that also goes throughout the Americas regions and do certification clinics for our international referees, our table officials, and individuals who are commissioners that actually manage each one of the competitions. And so in order to be a certified international basketball referee, you could not pass the age of 35 in the first instance, and after you've been certified and you after the age of 35, you could referee until up to the age of 55.
Okay.
And so that it wouldn't be like one of these nice referees that we see in the NBA who's some 70 odd years old
Yes,
and still running, but he's really physically fit.
Yeah.
But in international basketball, it sets that particular age limit, and it is a mechanism to have individuals grow in the sport. You could go from a FIBA referee to be a FIBA technical commissioner, one of 3 persons that looked over all our international competitions. And then at the same time, for individuals that are not athletes, which is one of the fields that we try to encourage, we're trying to get young referees, whether they're 18, 19, 20, 21, interested, because not everybody is going to be a basketball player that gets to go to college or gets to play internationally, whether you're playing in Europe, South America, or even get to go to the NBA. But there's a role that we try to encourage individuals. We try to grow the sport, and we want individuals to participate at all various levels and be able to have an opportunity to be able to add to the development of basketball throughout the world.
How long a person have to come to be in training to become a referee, an official referee with your leagues?
What happens is that in each one of the national federations throughout the world, and similarly here in the Virgin Islands, there is a individual who is a certified FIBA referee, and also an individual that is certified as a FIBA instructor within your national federation. This national instructor, in this particular case in the Virgin Islands, Mr. Kendall Henry, some of us may know him as KC, or you may know him as playing the drums or playing the rhythms for Stanley and the 10 Sleepless Nights. But he is a FIBA certified national instructor for the Virgin Islands, and his role is to go out and be able to identify and see young individuals who are actively participating as referees throughout the territory of the Virgin Islands in both districts, recruit them and begin to train them so that they could not only be able to pass the physical exam, there's also a written test, and there's also a practical test of getting these individuals on the court and be able to. So I believe just recently we had one held here in St. Croix under the auspices of the Virgin Islands Basketball Federation. They hosted it. We had 2 of our certified referees got their license renewed. We had one of our commissioners had his license renewed, and then we have a new FIBA referee that just came about in the person of Ms. Tumbi Bell, a former player with our senior women national team, a former coach of our junior women national team, and is currently is a referee coaching at the collegiate level on the mainland. She has now become the second woman in the history of the Virgin Islands Basketball Federation to be certified as a FIBA referee, and so I'm sure the federation will be pushing for her to be on the international floor sometime in 2015.
Yeah. Okay. So as you talk about how you guys reach out to get referees, it's the same concept with players, right? You know, you see somebody at Science Farm Court, he's got all the skills. So do you reach out to this guy and try to bring him in and start him, bring him in the league? I mean, is that so how it kind of works?
Well, let me speak of my past experience. As you are quite aware, I am no longer the president of the Virgin Islands Basketball Federation. But during my tenure, what we did is that we have coaches in both districts, coaching both junior men and junior women. And then they also coach the younger teams if they're 13 and under, 15 and under, or 18 and under. And their responsibility, as all of these coaches are involved in the interscholastic level, is to go out and while coaching interscholastic to identify players that have the potential to play on a national team. they have an athlete form that is shared with them. We try to encourage them through their parents to be able to pursue the required documents, because you'll be surprised how many persons in the territory do not have a passport,
Yes.
which is a prerequisite for registration. They may have a copy of their birth certificate, but sometimes we have good players who get left behind because the family was unable to get them a passport, or the family may not be able to afford getting them a passport in a timely manner.
Right.
So we ask the coaches to express upon them, like, we're in January, this is a good time if you see a potential athlete that may have the ability to play in a national team, have them get a passport early. Give the coaches the opportunity to be able to pick from a wide number of players. Given the registration process and the prerequisite of passport, you have to be born in the territory of the Virgin Islands. If you're not born in the Virgin Islands, one of your two parents born in the Virgin Islands. If one of your two parents are not born in the Virgin Islands, one of your grandparents have to be born in the Virgin Islands. And this is a prerequisite specifically created by FIBA. This is not a local law. This is the International Basketball Federation internal rules and regulations, and that particular process applies to those national federations that are not independent countries. So they have a specific qualification category for dependent territories. Puerto Rico, Virgin Islands, British Virgin Islands. And if that requirement was not there, then the Virgin Islands Basketball Federation could wait until the USA pick 12 players, and we could pick the 12 players that got cut and put Virgin Islands uniform on them, because all those 12 players have a USA passport.
Yes.
With the Virgin Islands have USA passport. And so they had to make a particular strict guidelines to make sure that these are players actually having some ties to the Virgin Islands, representing the Virgin Islands in international competition.
So Usie, how has the pool now has been for the Virgin Islands internationally, and in particularly for the men basketball? How has that been looking? Has it been strong, weak, mediocre? What's going on with that?
Well, I'm not going to just focus on just the men. For both men and
women,
men and women's basketball, I must say that during the early 80s, late 80s, right up to the early 1990s, the Virgin Islands Basketball Federation had a great opportunity to select a number of players, and we must give some recognition to a program that existed, known then as the Virgin Islands Youth Commission. The Virgin Islands Youth Commission developed a lot of quality basketball players here in the District of St. Croix, in the District of St. Thomas, St. John, that through that program, at one point, the Virgin Islands had the highest per 1,000 population of players playing Division I, Division II, and Division III college basketball because of the Virgin Islands Youth Commission and the program that was in place back then. And also through some of the efforts of individuals, me and him, we had a couple run-ins, but he did a great job out of the District of St. Thomas and St. John. I don't know if you guys are familiar with him, Mr. Peter Goodwin. He had a program known as Great Adventure, and he recruited, and he was able to get a lot of these players to finish the last 2 years of high school on the mainland, where they got an opportunity to be seen by college basketball coaches, and made it onto some top-notch college teams. And so we had that pool. With the loss of the Youth Commission program, the loss of actively basketball programs being conducted under what is now known as the Department of Sports, Parks and Recreation, we have to open our eyes to be able to keep a track of players not only in the territory, but players that are also on the mainland who parents may have moved away, whether it was Hurricane Hugo, they moved away for collegiate reasons or for economic reasons to seek employment, and they had children that were born in the States playing AAU, playing interscholastic basketball, playing collegiate basketball, and so we have been able to actively recruit those persons to mesh talent that we have to be able to take the Virgin Islands national teams to a higher level. As a matter of fact, because of those players in as recent as 2006, 2007, out of 214 national federations, at one point the Virgin Islands basketball national program for men was ranked 36 out of 214 countries in the world.
Okay.
And that's something big. Currently, the ranking as an entire federation is down to 52 or 56. But that's still big out of 214
Right.
national federations in the world. And the ranking only includes the top 72 countries.
Okay.
And so that if the Virgin Islands is on the list,
Then-
even if we're at number 72,
Two.
that's
We're
big
top
progress.
ranking, yes.
And that is showing not only for our men program, and that has also shown some increase for our women's basketball program. And I mentioned this because I think there's a foundation for the new federation executive in the Virgin Islands and persons who question the progress of basketball in the territory. That these are not things that I'm spitting out in the air. You don't believe me? You go to www.fiba.com and click on standings, and you will see the ranking. If you want to know by zone, you could go to the Americas zone. You click on the Americas zone, and I assure you that you will see the Virgin Islands listed and the ranking that they have on the world level. But my job today and in the future, I have now kicked off the shoes of the Virgin Islands Basketball Federation, the shoes of president of the Caribbean Basketball Confederation, and now the number one advocate for the Americas zone in FIBA and what we can do. And we've done well in our most recent competition in the World Cup that was held in Spain. We had at least a number of our national federation from the Americas made it into the last round, and the same thing that we had for our last World Championship for women, because that will now become also a World Cup that was held in Turkey. The Americas teams also did well, so we're battling up there with Europe that also has some strong contenders, but we've done well as a zone throughout the world, competing at the various levels.
What is the next international competition that's going to take place?
Well, the calendar is heavy for at the zone level. For the Americas, we've awarded the men's championship to the city of Monterrey, Mexico. You will have the top 10 national federation in the Americas competing for 3 spots to go to the 2016 Olympics that will be held in Rio de Janeiro in Brazil. In the case of the women's competition, we will have the top 10 women teams from the Americas competing in Edmonton, Canada, for the 3 positions to go to the Olympic Games. And I did mention earlier that the Virgin Islands, fortunately, it would be the first time that our senior women national team has made it to an Americas Championship, so that we would have a team in Edmonton, Canada. And that's on the Americas Championships level.
Okay.
They will also have teams representing the Americas, because this is the Pan American Games that is being held in Toronto, Canada in 2015. That will be the top 8, and the top 8 men and the top 8 women teams will be at the Pan American Games. And that at the Central Basket level, which is Central American and the Caribbean competition, is the top 10 teams will be competing to qualify for the 2016 Central Basket for the junior level, which will be 18 years and under, in both men and women.
Right.
And then at the Caribbean level and the Central American level, in Central America, their subzone is known as COCABA, and the CBC is the Caribbean Basketball Confederation. They are now hosting regional competition this year to qualify for the senior men and senior women Central Basket Championships to be held in 2016. The CBC Championships will be held again this year in Totola,
Right.
in the British Virgin Islands. We're expecting to have at least close to 12 men teams and 10 women teams competing for 3 positions for 2016 for senior men and women. And the same thing will be happening at the under 17 level in men and women in the Caribbean to qualify for the Central Basket that will be held sometime in late August for the junior men and women in 2015. So we have a number of regional competitions that is coming about.
Let me ask you something, Usie. As you mentioned in all these tournaments that are going to take place, have the VI been mentioned? Have been hosting any of these games?
Any tournaments?
Any of these tournaments or anything like that?
The last championship that was hosted under the auspices of the Virgin Islands Basketball Federation was done in 2002. We hosted a championship on the island of St. Thomas, at the University of the Virgin Islands. We were fortunate to make it to the gold medal game with the senior men national team, where we played against the Dominican Republic, and it was a heated game. It was the first time that UVI sports and fitness centers was actually packed to the ceiling, to the rafters. We actually had to stop letting people in the gymnasium.
Right, right.
The senior men national team won the gold medal against the Dominican Republic. It's a real competitive game. And our senior women national team won the bronze medal. And so both the men and women team qualified. I must say that it's very important for our community to recognize it's not a cheap event.
Right.
It cost us approximately $500,000 just to host the Caribbean Basketball Championship, and so that from just simply saying that it's cheaper to go to a competition that it is to host one.
Right.
And we were fortunate to have the support of the then Turnbull Governor, Honorable Governor Charles Wesley Turnbull and Vargrave Richards administration. We had the support of the legislature, which I believe that would have been the 24th legislature, and we had the support of a number of private businesses in the territory-wide and mostly in the St. Thomas and John district. And folks were saying, well, the Federation has a president for St. Croix, most of the association in St. Croix. Why didn't you do it in St. Croix? We did not do it in St. Croix because we didn't have the type of facility that's required to host that sort of event. We had it in the University of the Virgin Islands at the Sports and Fitness Center, and hopefully as a member of the legislature, I was able to identify some property that was purchased. We've identified a funding source, and hopefully in the next 2 or 3 years, we will have a facility that's been completed here on the island of St. Croix, back in what individuals refer to sometimes as Wheel of Fortune, but it's not Wheel of Fortune, it's actually Miles Hills.
Miles Hills.
Behind Claudio Marco School. We have 45 acres that is that effort is being led now by the Virgin Islands Housing Finance Authority, who administers the Community Development Block Grant, where the funds came from to purchase the property, and they're now heading a task force and a process that is moving on quickly for the construction of a multi-purpose indoor facility. It's not a sports complex. It is a multi-purpose indoor facility that can host sporting events, community events, concerts, queen shows. They just had the comedian Oliver the other day at Island Center.
Yes.
All these type of events can be hosted, and it is supposedly to at least have 4,000 fixed seats. And for concert events, you're talking about on the floor another 1,000 seats. So to accommodate at least 5,000 people, an interior that would have at least 4 locker rooms that's required for an international event, and the infrastructure that will provide for what we're doing now from this studio, live streaming. All of our games that were done in Tortola last summer were on an internet live. Individuals throughout the world, from the Virgin Islands were sending message, and they were glad to have the opportunity to see the Virgin Islands team. You had the people seeing the BVI team, the Guyana team, the Trinidad and Tobago team, the Jamaica women team, and so that the infrastructure that they're looking forward to put in the facility that's going to be constructed in St. Croix has taken those sort of things into context, and make sure you keep them in mind in the planned development of the multi-purpose indoor complex that will come to the St. Croix in particular, and be able to promote not just sports but other events on the island of St. Croix.
2 to 3 years, you said?
I'm hoping within the next 2 to 3 years.
That would be good, man. That'd be
because
really...
they're in the planning stage. They now has selected an entity. I believe the name of them is the Sports Facility Administrators. They were awarded the contract to do the pre discussion about making sure the feasibility study is in fact completed. And their completion date for the feasibility study, I believe, is at the end of this month or at the middle of February. And so after that feasibility is completed, then you move on to the next phase.
Usie, we have a lot of members from our society that's playing international ball, playing college ball, playing professional sports, and have contributed tremendously to the growth of basketball here in the territory. Can you speak on that? I mean, right now we got two young players, Mr. Christmas and Mr. Brown. I think they're going to be squaring off tonight.
Rakeem Christmas, he completed his high school career and his education in the city of Philadelphia. He started on elementary school here on the island of St. Croix.
Right.
Aaron Brown has played with the Virgin Islands national team since he was 16 years old. He was on the team in Aguas Calientes in Mexico, where the junior men team won their first bronze medal.
Okay.
He moved up and played with them in the Americas Championship for U16, because that was a Central Basket Championship they qualified for. And after the Americas Championship for the junior players, he's been playing with the senior men national team since then, and played with us as recently as last summer at the Central Basket with the senior men national team that participated in Nayarit, Mexico. And so Aaron Brown, he's been across the map in his college career.
Right.
Because he started at Temple. He transferred from Temple, sat out a year, played at the University of Southern Mississippi, graduated from University of Southern Mississippi and had a year of eligibility left. And after you've completed your college career, you don't have to sit out a year. And since he has a year eligibility left and completed his academic pursuits at the University of Southern Mississippi, he's now at Boston College.
Right.
Rakeem, I think, is a quite a rising star at Syracuse. We have not had the opportunity to have him play on a national team. He can be eligible to play on a national team, because although he was not born in the Virgin Islands,
Right.
although one of his parents were not born in the Virgin Islands, or a grandparent born in the Virgin Islands, but he meets one of the prerequisite requirements of having, which is was put in recently in our FIBA rules some three years ago, having began his schooling, scholastic career, and he himself played at that level elementary basketball, and so that he would, but you just would be required to put more documentation, copy of a transcript from education showing all of this. But as we speak today, he's never played on a national team, but he came up to the Virgin Islands and made his pursuits in Philadelphia, and I expect that both of them are looking forward to an opportunity, if not to make the NBA, to at least pursue a professional career in playing international basketball. Individuals that we had that came straight out of territory, like Cuthbert Victor, Kevin Teagan Shepard, they've never played in the NBA, but they have a well-rounded professional career.
Yes.
And some people don't realize that even in Europe, there are some European countries or national federation and European leagues
Right.
that pays just as well, and in some instances a little better than a couple of NBA teams, given your status as a player in Europe.
Okay.
We have also Mr. Mel Newton and Raja Bell is on the front offices of basketball teams now too in NBA.
Milt and Raja Bell. Milt is one of my most favorite person in my experiences with the Virgin Islands Basketball Federation. He played for us, and this is a story, if I can share it with you guys. Going to enjoy. He played with us in 1987 for the first time at the Pan American Games in Indianapolis, Indiana. He came and joined our national team from Kansas, University of Kansas, playing with the Jayhawks.
The Jayhawks, yes.
And when we got to the Pan American Games in Indianapolis, Indiana, Milt had just finished his sophomore year with the Jayhawks. One of the assistant coaches for the USA national team was Danny Manning Sr., who was an assistant coach at Kansas. And Milt spent a lot of time in basketball, as they put it, sitting on the pine, right in the bench.
Yes.
And Milt played for the Virgin Islands national team, and the skills and determination he exhibited with the national team, particularly during the game against Brazil, where Milt Newton and Donald Bow, they shared the assignment of guarding a gentleman who you all probably could Google sometime later, by the name of Oscar Smith. His last name is spelled SCHMIDT, known as one of the most prolific scorer in the history of FIBA international basketball. And during the Pan Am Games, he was averaging 30 and 40 points against national teams.
It's a beast.
And when he played the Virgin Islands, we limited him to 18 points.
Defense.
And this defense was administered by Milton Newton and Donald Bowen. And after that game was over, we lost by 8 or 12 points.
Right.
And they have a press conference after each game where both teams and at least 2 players and the coaches are required to attend. And the Virgin Islands national team and our coach, Tavessa Anderson at that time, we got more questions and airplay despite the fact that we lost the game.
Yeah.
The questions was to our head coach and our players, what did we do to limit Oscar Smith to just 18 or 20 points. And from his performance at the other games, when Milton Newton returned back to Kansas that next collegiate season, he was a starter.
Okay.
On the University of Kansas Jayhawks.
Yes.
Jayhawks. And he ended up being one of the selected all-tournament team in the NCAA tournament, where the Jayhawks won the championships.
Okay.
Him and Danny Manning was on the all-tournament team. I think on the second team was Scooter Barry. Scooter Barry is one of the sons of Rick Barry.
Right.
Okay.
That played in the NBA. And from there on, Milt was able to pursue a career. He was one of the draftees with the LA Lakers, one of the last cut from the Lakers, went on to Australia to play professionally. And as you could tell, I really know Milt's career.
Yes.
He got injured, a terrible knee injury, couldn't play anymore, and he started out as a NBA scout with the Philadelphia 76ers, a couple of the other teams. He ended up moving up to the front office as vice president of the Washington Wizards, as I was mentioning to you guys before the program started. I give him credit for the progress that the Wizards are now making.
Yes.
Last season, because he was with the staff that built that team.
Right.
And one of his, I'm trying to remember the name of his coach, who is him and Mills is like father and son, and
Okay.
he was there pushing Milt, made sure he also was a former head coach of the USA men's national team. Hopefully,
Okay.
before we finish, his name is going to come to me. And through those efforts, he was able to get Mill an opportunity as he's now a general manager.
Sweet.
One of only 2 or 3 black
Brothers,
general managers
yes, I.
in the NBA.
Yes.
Roger Bell, he took the one of the toughest route making it in the NBA.
Yes.
Roger got a 10-day contract, I believe, is either in 2001 or 2002 with the Philadelphia 76ers just before the season looking to end. He played so hard that they signed him on for the rest of the season, and the story began there because he was one of them that fought with Allen Iverson.
Yes.
Who took them all the way to the NBA Finals.
Yes.
I think most people remember him for his tough defense, because I believe that Kobe Bryant didn't know who Roger Bell was.
That's
Yes.
right. That's
And
right.
I think that he rubbed Roger
He knows who he is now.
the wrong way, and I think that was one of the toughest clothesline that Kobe
Yo,
Bryant
relax.
experienced in his life, because it lifted him above the ground, put him in the ground. Excuse me. Roger was suspended for a game.
Yes.
But that set Roger's career, his
Right.
reputation,
Yes,
not only as a defensive player, he became a good outside shooter. He played with the Mavericks, with the Utah Jazz.
Yes.
He had a good NBA career, and he had some unfortunate circumstances with the Utah Jazz, with the coach there, that caused him to end his career with the Jazz. But I'm glad he started out as a sportscaster for Fox News.
Right.
That's right. Yeah.
And now he's doing a hybrid coaching and public relations job with the Cleveland Cavaliers. And here it is now. We have 2 persons that played with our national team. Roger played with us for the first in 1997 at the Central Basket in Tegucigalpa, Honduras.
Right.
He followed us in 1998 to the Central American and Caribbean Games in Maracaibo, Venezuela. He was on the team with the Virgin Islands for the first time.
Okay.
Beat Puerto Rico in international competition.
All right.
He came back right after that experience with Philadelphia, while he was waiting for a contract, and played with us in 2002
Right.
in St. Thomas at the CBC Championships, and participated in leading our teams to the gold medal over the Dominican Republic national team. and joined us in 2003 in Culiacan, Mexico, where we barely lost by 3 points to Puerto Rico again, knocking us out of the medal round.
Right.
But so still qualifying us for the America's Championship. So both Raja and Milt were integral parts of Federation. Today, Milt is still a supporter and a consultant with the Basketball Federation for the Virgin Islands. Although I've already moved on, he's still giving advice and support to the Virgin Islands Basketball Federation in trying to make sure that he could support them in a number of ways. I just remembered the coach's last name is I wonder if it's Brown, but it's not Hubie Brown or what other thing. But him and Milt were real good. Milt played for him while they were at Kansas, and they work well together in the NBA.
Okay. And now we got a 5-time champion, Timmy Duncan, reigning champion. Have you worked with? I know you have been working with him.
Well, our experience with Tim Duncan has been through the Sunstroke organization that's led by Rashidi Clemens. Over the past 6 to 8 years, the Virgin Islands have been sending one young player to what is known as Basketball Without Borders whenever it's held in the Americas. We've sent players to Brazil, Argentina, and Canada. And although each national federation could only nominate one player, we were fortunate enough to be sending 2 players. So we was able to send a player from St. Croix and a player from the district of St. Thomas St. John because of Tim Duncan's involvement in NBA.
Sweet.
They allow Tim Duncan through Sunstroke to pick an additional person.
Wow.
Even he had to support that financially through the NBA. And we will have 2 individuals, all expenses paid. They're able to go to this camp. There's a skills camp, and we've had that sort of involvement. I understand just recently through the news media, we had Central High School boys and team and the Shalimali High School boys team, and I believe also the girls team from Central High participated in the Dunbar High School Championship in Washington, D.C. And they air travel was all paid by the Tim Duncan Foundation. And so I was pleased to hear that. I'm glad that he's becoming involved, and he continues to remain involved with the young athletes. And through Sunstroke, every year he sponsored the All-Star competition for the schools, interscholastic boys and girls, where the top players from St. Thomas and John District and the top players from St. Croix compete against each other. And he sponsored that weekend, what is being held in St. Croix or St. Thomas, as they alternate that competition throughout the year.
Okay. Sound like he's definitely helping out.
Yeah, well,
there's a lot of expenses there.
I think on a number of occasions, not in a negative way, but I say this about Tim. Tim is an introvert.
Right.
He's not someone that wears on his forehead.
Yes.
excuse me, on his chest. What he's doing, and he has people that he does it through, and because of that, people question. And he's sure he can do more. You know, people say what he can do more. I'm sure he can do more, but he has to find some way in his comfort zone to make sure that he gets those things done. So I've never taken on the task of worrying what he does. I'm glad that he does something.
That's right.
In comparison to individual thinking that he does nothing.
Nothing at all. Yeah. We're gonna take a quick break, and we'll be right back. We are back. This is the HR Perspective Talk Show, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 8 p.m. until today is Tuesday, January 20th, 2015. It's about 9:02 p.m. Our guest tonight is Usie Richards. There he is right there. We've been talking a lot about basketball, everything basketball tonight. FIBA Americas, he's the president. And as we were just taking that break there, you said you wanted to sort of talk a little bit about the role of the president of...
Refer to start from the top. You know, how the international body is actually governed, so individuals could have a true perspective of what really is the role of an international sports federation.
Right.
I can begin by saying that just last Friday evening, I had the fortunate opportunity to got an invitation and accept the invitation from the Virgin Islands Soccer Federation that hosted an individual I would consider my counterpart, who is the president of CONCACAF, which is the Americas region for soccer. But he's also the vice president of the international body, FIFA. in the Caribbean we call it soccer. In Europe and all other
Football.
places it's called football.
And he resides here in St. Croix?
No, we hosted him.
Oh, okay.
He
Okay.
visited. Mr. Webb, like myself, are both two individuals in high-ranking position in the international sports from a small island.
Okay.
He's from the Cayman Islands.
All right.
Okay.
Which is a place much smaller than
In this
St.
St.
Croix
Croix,
itself.
yes, yes.
But he has a very powerful position, and I mentioned that because FIFA today happens to be the richest international sport federation
Yes.
in the world.
Yes.
And they deal with a $1 billion budget, and FIBA, the football. Excuse me, the basketball federation. We're supposed to be the second richest federation in the world, and we're hovering somewhere around $500 million. So you
see the wow.
So you see the gap, and
Yes.
and people try to compare. Excuse me, these two team sports federation.
Right.
And I'm proud of what FIFA has been able to do, given the fact that they've had their own World Cup for a number of years. Raised a lot of money, and currently over the past 4 or 5 years, they have a set amount of money that they've been able to give to all of the Caribbean federations.
Okay.
Roughly, I'll say $250,000 for each year for a 4 or 5 year period,
Wow.
and that'll help them develop. And that is why you see that sort of growth. And the International Basketball Federation, we spent the last 2 years retooling and restructuring our governance,
Okay.
the manner in which FIBA has been governed. I've had the fortunate opportunity since 2006, and still currently to serve on the FIBA Legal Commission, which is a world commission made up of approximately 10 individuals that sat down and review our statutes, recommendations from zone bodies or national federations to change certain requirements. One of them that I really had my hand in was the definition of a national, the status for a national player for dependent territories, because they were cutting away from us and we were losing opportunity, and so we had to fight to get back in the parent, the grandparent, and so we could get out. Because we are transient population, we have a lot of people move around and leave.
Right, yes.
We have more people who are Virgin Islanders live outside the Virgin Islands than live in the Virgin Islands. You understand?
Right.
So those sort of things I did, but we work on restructuring, and over the last 3 years, last 4 years, because we just started a new 4-year period, 4-year cycle for our governance, started in 2014. So between 2010 and 2014, we work on changing how FIBA is governed. And not only do we have a legal commission, we created what was known as a governance commission. And we spent 3 to 4 years, and the main purpose of that was to give more power to the 214 national federations. So that in the Americas, if we have 43 national member federations assigned to our zone, they are assigned to our zone by our world body FIBA. They are first members of the international body in Geneva. And so now we adopted this new governance change, and at our World Congress in Spain during August, September, they had direct voting of electing the members of the central board.
Right.
Excuse me, which is made up of individuals from Africa, America, Asia, Europe, and Oceania. I've served on the central board of FIBA since 2009 up to the 2014.
Right.
As a representative elected by the federations in the Americas.
Okay.
And so that we have approximately, I think it was 18 or 20 people that serve on the World Governing Board. In September of 2014, the only persons that were directly elected by the zones to the governing board were the 5 presidents. The zone president from Africa, the zone president from Americas, the zone president from Asia, the zone president from Oceania, and the zone president from Europe were automatically elected to the governing board of the world. The other 3 positions of the Americas, the other 4 positions of Europe, the other 2 positions from Africa, Asia, and Oceania, those positions were filled by the voting members, representing national federations that attended the FIBA World Congress that was held in Sevilla, Spain this last summer. So we are now putting more direct powers into the hands of the national federations in making this decision. The other thing too is that people were confused. The public impression that FIBA as a body had 6 persons carrying the title of Secretary General. We had FIBA Secretary General, who's the Secretary General of the World Body, and each of the 5 zones has somebody carrying the title of FIBA America's Secretary General. And so we wanted one FIBA.
Right.
And because of one FIBA, all of the staff persons that work in our office in the Americas, that works in the office in Africa, Asia, Oceania, and Europe are now merged under the FIBA banner. They now work directly for FIBA. The persons in the zones that were referred to as Secretary General in November of last year, we had the first executive meeting of the executive committee meeting of FIBA, and we've now issued new contracts to these 5 persons. Their titles are now Executive Director, working on behalf of the Secretary General, who is stationed in FIBA headquarters in Nice, Switzerland. So now we have 5 executive directors, 1 Secretary General.
Okay.
The executive director is responsible for carrying out the day affairs of FIBA, Secretary General, the FIBA presidents, and the FIBA zone presidents in their offices. I believe in Europe, the FIBA Europe headquarters is in Munich, Germany. In FIBA Oceania, it's located in one of the large cities in Australia.
Right.
In FIBA Asia, they are now moving the office from Kuala Lumpur to Lebanon. In FIBA Africa, they're now relocating or now consolidating. They had 2 offices. The offices will now operate out of the Ivory Coast.
Okay.
And so that we have these 5 offices, satellite offices of our MIS headquarters in Switzerland. We have these 5 offices of FIBA being managed on a day-to-day basis by our executive director of the 5 executive directors. And so from that structure, we are now focusing. We had to change our statutes, which we've now already. We had this what we will refer to as an extraordinary session in March of 2014. After working 3 years on our central board to change the statutes, we had to present it to the national federations. We had 199 of 214 national federations made it to Istanbul, Turkey, with the support of FIBA and the host Turkish Basketball Federation. The airfare for at least 1 person for each national federation was paid for. The hotel accommodation was paid for. In my region, the Americas, we had 42 out of 43 national federations present.
Wow.
And so that we had extraordinary Congress. We adopted our new statutes, and that we began to implement them after our regular Congress that was held in Sevilla, Spain in September. And now that has been completed, and what we're working on is a change statutes for each of the zones, so that they will reflect what needs to be reflected in regards to the zone roles with the new world body. And after we finish with our zone bodies, we're now working with all 214 national federations. We have a minimum requirements of what must be in the Netherlands Basketball Federation or the USA Basketball Federation or the German Basketball, minimum requirements of what must be in the local governance statutes, constitution, bylaws, by whatever name it goes. So that is a process that we're going through. I've been at a fortunate level to have been involved in both the legal commission and the governance commission, which is now a permanent commission. On today, I'm still a member of FIBA Legal Commission and the vice chairman of the governance commission. And so I'm familiar with these tasks because of my role with FIBA, and these are the things that we will be working with on behalf of FIBA and our 214 national members over the next coming year.
Okay.
How long is the position of president last for?
Well, I think I should go back and at least speak to how I became president.
Definitely,
which,
yes,
Which is
yes.
has also to do with the governance structure. In the Americas, the zone president is rotated by subzones. We have 3 subzones. We have the North American subzone, we have the Central American and Caribbean subzone, and we have the South American subzone.
Okay.
The outgoing president of the Americas from 2014 came from the South American zone, from the country of Argentina. And then in the rotation in our statutes, the next president was supposed to come from the North American zone, which has only 2 countries,
Okay.
USA and Canada. And the last time that the North American zone had the president rotation, the person came from Canada. So in 2014, this person was supposed to come from USA Basketball. And the North American zone was scheduled to name a person to the body who will become the president of the Americas. That person was scheduled to be Mr. Jim Tooley, who is the executive director of USA Basketball. And one of the requirements to be the president of the zone is that you cannot have a position or a full-time employed position in a national federation.
Okay.
This is not a paid job, although your expenses may be covered and you live per diem when you travel. But Jim Tooley is the executive director of USA Basketball and currently has a 6-figure salary. And so that he was not prepared to
give that up,
vacate his position, and so the America's Congress agreed to change the rotation to Central America and the Caribbean. And after Central America and Caribbean, the North America would then follow. And so thereby, I was the person nominated from the Central American and Caribbean zone to take on the position of the American zone, nominated by the organization known as COSENCABA, which is the Central American and Caribbean Basketball Zone Commission, and elected at the General Assembly on May 31st of the Americas to become the president of FIBA Americas. For me, I'm very grateful. Most people do not know that I happen to be the first person from a small place like the Virgin Islands to hold an international position on a sports federation.
Yes.
And we've been involved in sports in the Virgin Islands. We've had an Olympic committee, I believe, since back 1964. The only Virgin Islander that has a position on an international sports federation was Mr. Amadeo Francis. He was a former commissioner of commerce for the Virgin Islands government, but he attained his position in International Track and Field Federation through Puerto Rico.
Okay.
And he all of his experience was the Puerto Rico Track and Field Federation. But he is a Virgin Islander that has a similar position, serving on a governing body for the International Sport Federation. And I've been on that in that particular capacity since 2009, when I was elected to the FIBA Central Board. And so for me, it is a pleasure. I treasure the opportunity to have come from the territory, to have been involved in basketball for a period of time, and to have my colleagues to have supported me to take on this position. And in this cycle, the 5 zone presidents, the officers of FIBA, the world body, the members of our commission, the members of our central board, in this cycle will serve 5 years.
Okay.
So I will be in a position from 2014 until 2019. And after 2019, we will go back to the 4-year cycle.
Okay.
And we've done that to align our World Cups.
Okay.
And our World Championship.
Yes.
Because now we're trying to have one every 2 years.
Okay.
And our World Congress every 2 years, because we're trying to catch up with FIFA, the International
Soccer.
Football Federation, soccer, because they've been able to grow their sports federation by hosting their own championships.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay,
Selling their own TV marketing rights.
Okay.
Over the years, basketball, volleyball, you name, our sports federation have been receiving the, for the lack of a better term, the crumbs that is shared with us from the Olympic Committee for when we had basketball participate in an Olympic event or basketball participated in a Pan American event, or basketball participated in a Central American Caribbean event, we get some contribution from those bodies, whether it's the IOC, whether it's the PASO, which is the Pan American Sports, or whether it's Casco, the Caribbean. So now we created our own event.
Right.
We sell our own TV rights. You will be surprised to know that when FIFA have a football soccer event, that in the country of Mexico alone, I'm talking about the country of Mexico alone, when they sell a TV marketing right in that country, you're talking of covering millions and millions a home. That's one of the largest TV markets for football. And then you go to South America and you got Europe, and we're trying to build on that footprint that they've been able to develop, to find some way to have some financial footing, so we could be able to give some monies like FIFA to small Caribbean federations. We've also created in FIBA a commission on small federations to find out how best to be able to assist them and get them up and running with not only technical support, but hopefully in the near future financial support.
So now that you have decided to do the 2 year like like FIFA, has that been working for the FIBA?
Oh yeah, we just had a one of our most and now we're not calling our competitions in men. Prior to 2014, they were being referred to as World Championship.
World Championships.
In 2014, FIBA had our first FIBA World Cup.
Okay.
It took place in 6 cities over 3.5 weeks in the country of Mexico.
Okay.
We started out with the preliminary round in Sevilla, Granada, Bilbao, and the Gran Canary Islands.
Right.
Those 4 countries hosted the preliminary rounds. When we move on to the quarterfinal rounds, that was played in as I said, countries, those 4 cities. That was played in 2 additional cities. They played in Barcelona and Madrid. Okay. And then the finals, where they were playing for the medals, the gold, the silver, and bronze, the final was was played in Madrid.
Okay.
So we covered 6 cities, TV marketing rights, sold out arenas in all of these 6 cities over the 3.5 week period. And so the World Championship for women, which was the last World Championship to go by that name, that was held in Turkey. That began in 2 cities. We went in Ankara and Istanbul, Turkey.
Okay.
And the next competition for women would be the first World Cup for women, which was awarded coincidentally. What was that? The first week of June, our Central Board awarded the first World Cup for women to the Spanish Basketball Federation. We had 2 successful bidders. It was between the Israeli Basketball Federation and Spain, and the majority of Central Board members voted for Spain. We have the bidding process is being closed out now for the next World Cup for men, and that will happen in 2018 after the Olympics.
Okay.
Or excuse me, 2017, because we're now going every 2 years.
Every
so
2
17
years.
and in 19 we will have World Championship for both men and women. So 1 year after the Olympics in 2016, we will have World Cups for both men and women coming on the scene. And throughout the year, there are still World Cups happening at the lower level, what is 19 and under. Like I was fortunate to represent the Americas last summer in August for the 19 and under World Championship for men. That was held in Dubai, in the United Emirates. I was a big supporter of Dubai hosting it, because that was the first time that we would have had a World Cup competition for basketball in the Middle East.
Okay.
And not only that, as you know, the United Arab Emirates, they put on one of the biggest shows. I mean, they were able to financially support it, and the countries that participated, and myself as a spectator of that event, was very pleased with the program and the competition that they put on in Dubai. And we're hoping to now move on to different regions that have never hosted World Championships or World Cups, so that we could begin to promote the sport of basketball.
Okay.
Wow, man. On a lighter note here, who's I guess in the 19 and under bracket, who's really good? Who stands out? Anybody like in particular here in the Virgin Islands? Anybody stand out that I guess is?
And that's when you get me into trouble. I get in trouble because we've like just last summer, we fielded 6 teams in 6 different competitions. We had a U16 girl teams that went to Mexico.
Okay.
We had the U16 boys team that went to Panama. We had the senior men and women teams that went to the CBC Championship in the British Virgin Islands that qualified for Central Basket.
Okay.
And so based on their qualification, the senior women went to Monterrey, Mexico. The senior men went to Nayarit, Mexico. And as the then president and chief administrator of the federation, my job was so busy focusing on the administrative issue, making sure that players are eligible. Submitting things, and more importantly, particularly in the Virgin Islands, making sure that we find money and resources to get individuals and teams that qualify to go somewhere, and that's not an easy task in the Virgin Islands. Making sure we've had good support over the years from the government, but the monies that you receive from the government cannot support the national federation sending 6 teams to these events. It costs approximately 18 or 20,000 just to practice a national team for 2 weeks, having them sleep together, pray together, eat together, practice together for 2 weeks. That's an expense, and that's conservative.
Okay.
And it all depends on what age group you're dealing with. You can find some way to cut costs, and that doesn't include what it costs to send your team out. And so we would be the advocates in the Americas. We plan to visit all our 43 national federations, to visit the federation officers, to visit the Olympic Committee officials in those countries, and to visit the government officials to try to instill about them the importance of supporting the national federation and what we as a zone can do to assist them technically in the building of facilities, getting the right equipment, providing training to the what we call in the Virgin Islands the recreation leaders, so that these people that work for sports park and recreation in the Virgin Islands don't just have to turn light off, turn them on at 7 o'clock when they get dark and turn them at 10. We want to train them.
Yes.
To be officials, whether it's for basketball, and you can get this for all in the sports federation, track and field lead officials, some softball, baseball. All these individuals have the wherewithal to do the training for these recreation leaders.
Okay. Wow. It's a lot, man. FIBA America. Our guest tonight is Usie Richards. He's the president of FIBA Americas. Guess it's the International Basketball League.
International Basketball Federation.
Federation. Okay.
We're a federation made up of federations. So we have 240 national federation members, and that makes us the International Basketball Federation.
Okay. Who you got in the NBA, man?
I don't know. If I say but you and Soup will laughing after me. I've been a diehard Knicks fan.
Okay. Well, yeah.
And we haven't seen basketball as a Knickerbocker and since the late 70s. Because that was when you guys were probably still running around elementary school, when we had Dave DeBuscher and Dick Barnett and Walt Frazier, who resides here there.
Again,
Bill Bradley, Phil Jackson. So I was a supporter then, and I also was a good supporter of the Detroit Pistons.
Okay.
And that was back in the day with Dave Bing.
Yes.
I had my local team had named the Pistons and Bob Lanier. And so today I support the Spurs. When they make it there, because I have to stick with some homegrown. I'll be supportive of the Timberwolves. Although they're not doing well, because I have Milton Newton there as a GM.
Right.
I can support the Cleveland Cavaliers because now we have Raja Bell on their staff, and so that I just watch the game. When they get down to the playoffs, I have to pick somebody. Because I know the Knicks ain't going to be one of them.
They're rebuilding. They didn't rebuild them all right now.
I don't know if because it's a kind of rebuilding. I think they're still demolishing so they could begin to rebuild.
Yes.
They're having a very rough time.
Yes.
They have. Yeah, they've been struggling for a few years.
Yes,
many few years here, just trying to catch themselves.
Man, so.
Any other questions, Soup? Is there anything that you wanted to talk about, Usie? I mean, we're just going to kind of wrap up here a little bit soon, but anything in particular that you wanted to talk about, or about FIBA or anything else you might want to let the public know?
Well,
events coming up or anything like that?
In regards to FIBA and FIBA Americas, I can quickly say that the Americas zone, we're having our first executive committee meeting in the next week, I believe on the 28th. And then myself, along with our executive director and the president of FIBA World, we traveled to Barbados to support them and attend the Caribbean Basketball Congress, which is always held the last Saturday of January. And at my age, I believe that's the 31st.
31st.
The 31st. And so we have the CBC, and then we'll be planning our schedule for that. Outside of that, I am particularly pleased because when I got this call from Kimber, he says, "Oh, this is David Christian. I have this program. I'd like you to come on. I want you to have a new position." And I was like, "What the hell are you talking about? I never heard about this program." And so I am particularly pleased that despite the fact I've never heard of it, that it exists, and that both Kimber and Soup is in a position to do something to promote things that are happening here in the territory, whether they're in St. Thomas, St. John, St. Croix, individuals, organizations, because I think it's very important that people get some understanding. I mentioned to both of you earlier that people were in the news, and just up to last week I saw somebody, not last week, today I was renewing my driver's license, and so a guy was congratulating me on my position, and then the next question he asked, so where do you live now? So people are of the impression that he has this new job, he lives somewhere in South America, or he lives in the USA or Central America, and in these modern times and high technology, we're able to manage our affairs at our headquarters in San Juan. As you can tell, not only we have live streaming here in the studio, but FIBA also has a TV station.
Okay.
It's entitled FIBA TV.
Okay.
You could log on, you could become a member, you could have access to all of FIBA competitions in the zone.
Right.
You could look at the European League, where we have players like Cuthbert Victor playing out in Russia. He played in Spain. We may have other players out there playing. You can see the Americas League, which we just started the second quadrennial of the American League, kicked off in São Paulo, Brazil, which is a league under our zone that we now have a TV marketing deal to, so that we could get some money into the Americas zone to start to help our national federation. So you go to FIBA Live TV, join and become a membership. I think it's roughly $25 or $35 a year.
Okay.
And you can see World Cup, World Champ, all our FIBA events. They send you emails giving you schedules, and so that is something I think that
check that out.
We're glad that we could share with individuals, and it's not only covering FIBA World, but it's covering our FIBA zone, and people be surprised to see the quality of competition in FIBA Africa.
Right.
In the African zone, I became a big fan of the Nigerian basketball team when they were working hard to qualify for the London Olympics.
Okay.
We had a qualifier in Venezuela, in the capital city there,
Caracas.
and in Caracas, and I was cheering for the Nigerian squad because they were underdog and they won one of the spots.
Okay.
To the London Olympics, and after they won, and it's so good to see this thing. After they won, what we call in St. Croix, St. Thomas, the Caribbean, we call it had a tramp.
Yes, I.
Well, it had enough Nigerian in Venezuela. Them man come out with, they had the drums, they had the hands, they had the whistle, and they were dancing around, and all the international press was just basically videotaping and broadcasting live the excitement of the Nigerian national team, the men team, and their success, and so that the quality of basketball throughout the world is really developing, and I'm very, very grateful at least for the opportunity to speak on live streaming here and share this opportunity with both Kimber, and I can just be formal Mr. Christian and Mr. Carter. Thank you for having me, and those of you that are tuning in and were listening, viewing, and hopefully we'll see it in the future.
Yeah.
We appreciate you supporting the organization and the live streaming program that they've brought to you. Thank you very much.
Well, I wanted to ask you one other quick question. Are the rules different, slightly different in your federation as opposed to like maybe the NBA or some variations.
It is not slightly different. There are some key differences.
Oh, really? Okay.
In international basketball, and folks that were probably looking at TNT or CBS, whichever one were carrying the World Cup game from. I think they were being shown at TNT and ESPN from Spain.
Okay.
Once the ball makes one contact with the rim, whether he's shooting a free throw, a layup, a jump shot, a player can go and swat the ball off the rim, irrespective of the fact that the ball may be over the cylinder.
Right.
Okay.
One contact is allowed, and you can knock it off. In NBA, interscholastic rules and collegiate rules, you have to wait until until the ball is no longer over the cylinder or over the basket itself. We have similar 24 seconds. We made some changes that they don't have in NBA that speeds up the game.
Okay.
And NBA has also made some. We had an international basketball where they now allow in NBA some zone play. Remember a time in NBA they didn't allow the players zone.
Right.
So there are some similar rules, but there are some distinctive rules that allow for this increasing the speed.
Okay.
Of the game. It's about speed, having more individuals, and not providing sole advantages to individuals who are 7 feet tall or 6'11", but also advantages to a player that's 5'9", 5'10". So you have the 3-point line.
Yes.
That in NBA, their 3-point line is a little deeper than international. In collegiate, is a little shorter. International, in interscholastic high school level, it's a little shorter.
Yes.
But all those rule changes were made to bring some excitement. And the most recent change, which is one that I voted against, is that in international basketball, we had the standard numbers from 4 to 15. So I don't care what country you see in the basketball court, the rules only permitted that the numbers on the front and the back of the player's uniform
go to 4.
Begin at 4 and end at 15.
Wow.
That's 12 players.
Right.
We now pass, what was that? That was in Madrid at our first central board meeting. They're now allowing individuals to use numbers from 00 up to some other number. I just didn't like it, but I understand the reasoning for it.
Right.
Is now that you've had some international players like the one I mentioned from Brazil, Oscar Smith, who's now a retired player, and you have national federations want to be able to, out of respect for the contribution of these international players, to retire those numbers. But irrespective of that, I was against it, but the majority rules.
Right.
And so that is a change that you will see beginning in 2015, that players would no longer be restricted for small federations like us.
Right.
In the Virgin Islands, throughout the Caribbean, Jamaica, Bahamas, I think those federations might decide to just stick to 4 to 15, because when you do that, you don't know if you could afford to buy a new uniform every year.
Yes.
You understand? If you get a corporate sponsor that sponsors some new uniform, you try to use them at least for a 4-year cycle.
Right.
So when players hear that, now players will say, oh, he can Kimber now. Kimber one number 33 and Soup one 44.
Yes.
But we can't afford them.
Yes.
Yeah.
We probably afford to buy a new nameplate. If you hear Soup Carter, says his last name is Carter, that Carter in there in the team this year, we could take off Carter and nameplate and put on a nameplate, Christian.
Yes.
And back then, they just that Soup last year was number 11, and this year Kimber is wearing number 11. So, I mean, financially, so coming from a sports federation, a small federation background, financially, we're not in the stage of those big countries that have corporate sponsors that are able to do that. Like for all the years I've known Argentina basketball team, when you see the front of their uniform, you will say Visa.
Oh, okay.
Visa credit card. Whether it's men, women, or Visa is a corporate sponsor of the Argentina basketball team, and you'll see that USA, they have so much money, you hardly ever say a corporate sponsor name on it. They have to sponsor something else smaller. Or they sponsor the broadcast of our USA team games on TV and TNA, ESPN and Usie is sponsored by Chevrolet or somebody getting some
Right,
promo.
right.
Yeah, yeah.
But again, thank you guys.
All right, our guest tonight is Usie Richards. I want to say thank you for coming out to our studio and spending a little bit of time to us. You're part of the family. We're definitely going to have you come back to continue on. Maybe there's some other stuff that you might want to talk about as well. Soup, any final words?
Usie, I want to thank you again for taking
Thank you.
your busy time out and coming and visit us, spending time with us. Continue what you're doing. Rastafari lives, one perfect love.
Yeah, we like to say one perfect love is our praise and his blessings. When you put it all together, you get one perfect love, man. So we're out. We'll be back. Until then, we're out. Peace.